One, we're back, sitting in I would say I'm sitting like a king today, luxury chair. No, I'm good. This is the only nice chair we have upstairs in the house. So I'm not sitting on one of the metal chairs. Plus, the whole background of the podcast is a little, I don't want to say dirty, but we have boxes and totes everywhere. But we'll get into that in a minute. But we are back. The ABJ. I hate to say podcast, but I mean, like, what else would it be? Just welcome back. This is the ABJ podcast. Episode 5. I know it's not Wednesday, and you guys are receiving this. It's a little later. I don't want to officially transition these to Fridays, but eventually they're going to come here anyway. So enjoy this on a Friday and for your weekend. Today is going to be the episode is going to be about being the weird kid and the outsider. I do have Lily sitting off camera. She'll be hanging out, asking some questions, maybe plugging in here and there more details, or asking more questions based on what's going on. But this episode isn't really about being weird. It's about learning that the things that you that make you feel different eventually become the things that make you who you are. I spent years trying to fit in, and then only to realize I was really never supposed to. And I think a lot of yous are, if you're, I don't really market myself to younger audiences, but I do have some younger people who do watch and listen, and I'm becoming hyper aware of that. And I've learned as a content creator, like, some of my favorite comedians growing up, I didn't learn about them until, like, their TV show, like Bob Saget and Gilbert Gottfried and Robin Williams, and they were very adult content. Like, they talked about very adult stuff, but they also did have a way of being real, and the things that allured me to their adult style things that also made them appealing to a younger generation and being real as well. So I'm kind of, not saying I'm leaning into it, but I'm becoming more accepting that I may have younger audiences. I'm definitely not, I would not recommend myself to a younger audience. I do curse. I do talk about things that, I definitely think you should consult your parents before listening, but it is what it is. But going back to that, I want to say that even if you're, an adult or teenager or whatever you're going through, being weird or an outsider isn't always a bad thing. It's probably because you think differently than other people around you. And you will find your tribe, and I think your tribe will be a lot more close-knit and more personal and more what you're about and what you're into, and I think that is always going to be a good thing, and it will save you a lot of time and heartache later in life. Sorry, my phone's notes keep powering off, and it's pissing me off. Yeah. So for most of my life, I felt like I never truly fit in anywhere, and looking back at it now, I'm actually grateful for that. Welcome back to the podcast, and before we get into today's topic, I want to do a quick recap of kind of what's been going on this week. It's been, since the last episode, nothing really super eventful on my end anyway. We didn't really have any wrestling shows to cover. I do have one this weekend, which will be a free show if you're local. It will be at the Tamaqua Playground. I don't know which one, though. I should probably learn that. It's at one of the playgrounds. Just drive around Tamaqua. It's not that big of a city. And look for a playground. Look for a wrestling ring and tons of people.
I feel like it was called East Side, but I am double checking it now.
I'm going to be honest. You could tell me what went on. I don't know the difference between the parks or what part of town. I'm not a Tamaqua person. So it's going to be a free show. It's going to be raising money for the playground. So definitely come out and hang out. I'll be doing, I don't know if I'm going to be doing commentary or production or anything like that. Or I'm just going to be kind of hanging out for the day and interacting and chilling with people. So that's pretty much this Sunday. Do we have anything Saturday? Saturday, I'm pretty much staying in. I know Lily has a little more events than I do.
Yeah, I'm busy every day until next Saturday.
Yeah, so she's going to the MGK concert to go see MGK, and I just recorded last week. I haven't really recorded any 5 questions or any really piece of content. Everything I've recorded has kind of been pre-recorded and been putting out. When it comes to podcast goals or anything going on, I just keep grinding, keep doing what I'm doing. Actually, I do have a little bit of news.
Really quick before, I'm sorry. It is at the Southward Playground on 215 Penn Street in Tamaqua.
There it is. Search it. We did lose somebody last Friday. We lost the Savage Granny. So if you look at my T-shirt, it's It's a beautiful little old lady flipping you the bird. There she is. So Jackie, she passed away Friday. Jackie is the grandmother of the Kilowatt, Alex Watt, and not so Ronda Rousey, not so Rousey Ronda. I think that's what they called her on Camp Leapfrog. That was her wrestling name. And their family, you know, it's a tough loss. And I'm not here to say like how the family feels. It's not my job, but I will say, man, it was when I met Jackie, she was already. I don't want to say the wrong things, and I don't want to sound insensitive, but she was sick. Like she was going through her dementia and her Alzheimer's. I don't know which one of the two, but I think they go kind of hand in hand. She struggled with memory loss. She struggled with not knowing exactly where she was, who she was, what age she was, who people were around her at all times. Like, it was rough, and she was like that for, I mean, Jesus, how long have I been doing content? 8-9 years now. And I met Alex probably 8 years into this, and she was like that then. So it's been a good 8 years of her. Like, I never really met Jackie, if that makes sense. But I will say, man, she was a beautiful soul. She always made me feel like the most handsome, attractive man in the room until a very much more handsome, attractive man would show up, and then she'd flirt with him. But no, she was awesome, man, and I loved her, and she just enjoyed being around people. She was never like always. She struggled with being uncomfortable and just struggling with all that, but always just enjoyed being out and about. Loved being around people, out there supporting Alex and us at the wrestling shows, and just being a great soul. And I learned that even in the 8 years that I met her, she left an impact on me forever. And she may not, she didn't even realize it. You know what I mean? Like, she didn't retain people from show to show and thing to thing, but she left an impact on everybody. That, just a great energy. She was always fun to be around, funny, entertaining. She was beautiful, and we lost her. She's in a better place, I hope. I don't know how the afterlife works, and we'll talk about a death episode, so I don't want to sound sensitive, but it's got to be better than what she was going through, and I think there's solace in that. It's got to be tough to wake up every day and kind of like not know your age. Like, there's times where she wanted to go home because she just didn't feel like she was home, even though she was always there. Like, her memories were all over the place, and that sucks. And I personally, I don't think I could ever. I don't want to be like that. Like, but I mean, you don't really have a choice. You don't have a say. When your mind goes and you're not there, you're just kind of along for the ride, and that's fucking terrifying. There's someone in my family that's kind of slipping into that right now. Whether people want to believe it or not, get mad at me. I don't care. You probably don't listen to this anyway. But it's a scary thing, and if I feel like it's happening to a member of my family, that probably means it's genetic. So that's exciting. If I ever start acting crazy, I know that's probably a terrible thing to say for me, because yeah, who would know, right? Just take me out back and put me down. We got a little Old Bay glass tonight. Got a little glass of whiskey here. So that's for you, Jackie. We love you. See you on the other side, if there is one. I'm not really sure what's going on back there, but I'm sure you'll report. I hope. Actually, don't report. That would scare the fuck out of me. I'll find out when I get there. I don't need any updates. I don't really know. Discord or community stuff, I really don't know what's going on. Future projects, just grinding along, just making content. I don't really plan content. If it happens, it happens type deal. I don't know what you're pointing at.
Yard sale stuff.
Oh, we did have a yard sale. I made a little bit of bucks, gave it all away, and then I made a little bit of bucks, and then we used it and got food, and that was it. I generally, whatever I made's gone already. Being broke. New t-shirts. By the time you listen to this, the new shirts will have dropped. The old ones will be gone. I think I'm gonna do 1 or 2 t-shirts to start, and then halfway through the month throw another 2 out, and then just take them both out next month. We'll just do that. I've been watching a lot of like documentaries, nothing like movie wise or TV wise. I haven't really started anything new. We watched the Michael Jackson documentary. There's a really cool thing on HBO called like The History of Comedy, which I really been enjoying because it breaks down comedy in so many different aspects between like women comics and black comics and political comedy, and just like every asset of the growth of comedy and how it's changed and how things are different. And that's a kind of a cool thing to watch, just to see from a standpoint of like the growth or the change of an industry. It's actually very inspiring. But yeah, pop culture wise, that's pretty much all I really got. I haven't really done much. It's been really like a lazy day.
But have you heard the new Taylor Swift song?
I have not.
Well, I'm gonna have to fix that later.
I don't want to listen to it. I don't care. I don't care. You ever see a little? I always have TikTok stuck in my head of just like weird things that nobody cares, and I just imitate it. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, there's a video of a kid being shown his little baby sibling, and I'm like, it's your baby brother, and he's like, I don't care. I don't care. That's just stuck in my head. I have 2 catchphrases that I've learned from TikTok. One is his mom's yelling at a kid. She's like, are you going to be good? And he just goes, oh shit, what does he say? Oh, he goes, grasshoppers! And she goes, nope, turn around, back in the corner. And he just screams. I just thought it was funny, this way he says grasshoppers. And there's another one where this like family's in a ski lift and they're going up. It's a black family and they're going up the ski lift. And she goes, everyone say cheese. And he goes, everyone say titties. I thought it was funny, and I watch it, and I think it's very entertaining. We do have a little bit of news. So August, we will be back in Monty City for the fire department show, and local business called Flaming Decals. Thank you. Are going to make some exclusive items that they will sell at the shows. This is like the prototype mock-up, so it'll be a beer koozie with my logo and fire. What?
Is it fire or is it tie-dye? Because the
fire.
bottom looks pink.
It's fire. It's a fire pattern. Yeah.
All right.
And then it has a galaxy trim to it. Yeah. I told them to make whatever they want, sell, make some money, use my name, my brand, and make a couple bucks. I'm not looking to make my cash off it. And if people want to walk around with ABJ sigil koozies, have at it. All right. So, yeah, there's a lot of things I'm passionate about, and today are some of the things that made me feel different when I was younger. And I think that's where I always felt like sometimes I was an outsider or I didn't fit in, was because of my interests. A lot of the stuff I was into wasn't always cool to like. And that was kind of the catalyst of my podcast name, Not Cool in High School. Because, like, if I went to school and talked about comic books or video games, it wasn't like they're like, yo, play sports, you fucking weirdo. You know what I mean? Like, it was, but everyone secretly did it. Like, everyone played video games, everybody was into it, but it was like, it was almost like we were forced to grow up quicker than we were supposed to. And if you were playing video games, you were a loser kid. You should have been outside playing. It's weird because, like, our generation was, I feel like, one of the last generations that was allowed to just go out unattended and just stay out until it was dark and then come home, and no one came looking for you and they were glad you were gone. And today's generation, if a kid goes out for more than 5 minutes of eye shot of their parents, they're like helicopter parents, like, where the fuck's my kid? I need to know right now. Like, no, like, fuck it. I would go. I remember I left for a weekend and no one knew I was gone. That's like, just didn't, like, not saying they didn't care, but like, we had more freedoms growing up. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't have to, like,
my mom would never let me be gone for like more than 24 hours
and
not wonder where I'm at.
You had an helicopter parent.
Okay, not even that, dude. But like, I'm not even saying that. Like, that I still believe that that's wild.
Really?
Yes, that is very abnormal. That is not.
We had a rule, you know, town now, like where I live. We have a high rise, and the high rise is like the center of town. And I was always told, stay on the west end. Don't go to the east end. You can go to the east end when you hit a certain age. And I was just like, oh shit. And I just kind of listened to the rule. I don't know. It was just like, it was a respect thing. So I didn't see the east end of town until like my teens. Like, up until like a certain age, I was not allowed to cross that street. Even though I was able to do everything I wanted, go up and down from Railroad Street to and the woods. We just didn't cross the east end of town. I think the first time I ever crossed to the east end of town was by accident, because we were in the woods and we came out of the woods on the east end, and I was like, I'm too far. But like, it was weird too, because I wasn't allowed to walk across the east end, but my walk to school in middle school was on the east end of town every day. So I walked to and from the east end.
You just couldn't, like, because you were expected to be there at that time.
Yeah.
But like past having to be on that side at that point in time, you shouldn't be over there for any reason.
But it was, I don't know, it was weird. I think the times are different. Like we had the street light rule, like be home at the street lights, and we have church bells. I don't know if they still do it as frequently. I think I've essentially tuned them out. I don't hear them at all anymore. But I was very adept to the church bells in town because they went off every hour. They still do?
Yeah.
So every hour the church bells go off.
Yes.
I have completely blocked them out. I don't hear them. Is that weird?
I don't think it's like abnormal, but I mean, like, we're also not very close to any of the churches.
I lived directly behind a church most of my life.
Yeah, but now the church is like a little bit further past the Dollar General. Like,
I don't even think that church rings their bells anymore.
What other church is there?
So the church, the church that used to ring the bells, I think the bell system broke and they don't use it anymore.
It has to be that one then. What else am I hearing?
There's 150 churches in town. One of them's ringing their bells still.
Someone's ringing their bells.
Someone's ringing the bells. But when you're young, fitting in feels important. And you start noticing different interests, different humor, and different outlooks. When I first started to feel different, I think, so just on a personal level, one of the things that I always felt like I was different than everybody else, and maybe this is me secretly saying that I'm better than you and I know it, sorry, was I felt like my empathy. I didn't realize that it was empathy until much later on in life, but I always felt very empathetic to a lot of people. Like I would watch a kid get bullied and picked on, and I was like, I can generally see that hurt him, and that made him sad. And then I was like, I want to be his friend, and I'm gonna go talk to him, and I want to be cool with him. And then I would kind of get the shit because I would go talk to him, like, why are you talking to that kid? And I just I never. It's weird. I don't want to say I was the weird kid. I definitely did not have it as bad as others. There's kids in my school that would have loved to trade places with me when it came into the social structures of where I fit in school. There's kids that just got tortured, fucking tortured. And I was always cool with those kids. Like I can talk to those kids or they'll see me today. I always felt like maybe I just generally didn't feel like I fit in, or I wasn't invited to the cool kids things or the parties, or I wasn't invited into what people deemed to be the cool kids section. But like I generally got along with everybody, like for the most part. I had friends in every group. I had friends that were in sports. I had the pop culture kids, the weird kids, the nerdy kids, the emo kids, the you know what I mean? Like the band kids. I kind of had a little bit of I dipped my toes with everybody and everything because of my interests and stuff. But I always felt like I never fit in to one clique. Like I wasn't invited to this group's crew. And then when I would get invited, I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. And then like, I don't know. They would be like, oh, remember that one time we all together did this and you weren't there? And okay. But when I first felt like different, honestly, is pretty young. I would watch people get fucked with or picked on or bullied, and I would feel a certain type of way about it. I always felt like too, like certain adults would do it and join in on it, and that would bother me as well. I'd watch teachers like kind of side with the popular kids and like, oh well, they're the cool kids, and they would kind of frown or roll their eyes or like give shade to the ones who weren't as popular, and that pissed me off too. And that's like honestly where my rebellion started kicking in, is like, oh, most of these teachers are going to shit on you anyway, and they're just going to kind of side with the cool kids and make you feel like you're more of an outcast anyway. I always kind of grew up with people older than me, or gravitated to that as well, so I kind of picked up on adult body language earlier than I probably should have as well. But like, yeah, like that's probably my earliest memories of feeling like I was definitely different, and it definitely stood out more with my personality and who I was. I didn't realize at the time with the ADHD, so I was very in your face, and I didn't sit still, and I talked a lot, and I would get in trouble for getting up out of my seat because I would just be like, "Oh, that's fucking cool. I want to go tell them about it real quick," and I would just get up off my desk and walk over and quietly be like, "Yo, man, I was just working on this. Check out this cool drawing." Like I would still be respectful, but I felt like school kind of anchors you. Like you have to sit in your chair, you have to do this. Like you're trapped. And I'm not a person who does well in a trap situation. I don't want to tell me you have to sit in that chair for 8 hours and do your work. And especially if the work is nothing I'm interested in, I'm just shutting down. So I was told I was difficult. I was told I was problematic. I was told I wasn't smart. I was told that, you're like all these things. And that always made me not fit in either. I was told growing up that I was like the poster child for birth control by family members. I would go to like local firehouses and be told the same thing, but I was just like I don't think I was a bad kid. I never destroyed anything. I never looked to cause destruction or harm. I was just interested in things, and I wanted to tell people what I was interested about, and it was deemed problematic to them. And that didn't feel great, And I remember another one that kind of pissed me off, and I haven't talked about this in a while, but I grew up in a firehouse, not the current one that my father is a member of, but a different one. And I remember from a very, very young age being told by most of the adults there, I can't wait till you turn 18 because I'm going to beat the shit out of you. When you turn 18, we're fighting, and I'm going to beat the shit out of you. I'm fucking 7, and now I have a time clock in my head of when I'm going to be assaulted by adults. And then, like, there did come a time where I became, like, not cocky or but I did start firing back. Like, all right, you're going to fuck with me anyway. Like, if I will take insults and jokes and ball busting for so long, but then I'm gonna start dishing it back even at a young age. And I was always very good at receiving of what you were saying and then giving it back to you, and no one likes when I give it back. And it's just kind of a problem. Like, I'll be disrespectful and say some shit, but then as soon as I pop off, it's like, oh, too far. Now it's too far. Like, you've been saying this shit forever. So that sucked too. Like, I don't know, I was just always kind of like, that's where I felt really, really, really young, where I felt weird. And it did change a lot of me kind of like later on in life, in middle school and high school, kind of shutting down and not being as open or forward or talking to people or expressing things that I'm interested in, because I was kind of deemed as fucking weird or an outcast or annoying or all these negative things by friends and family members. And I was kind of used with I'm being honest. So family members, some of my cousins till this day think it's funny, but like it left a little bit of some scarage. But they would purposely lie on things that I would do or say just to get me in trouble, because they liked watching me get in trouble. Like, if I lied on somebody just to see them get in trouble, my empathy would kick in, and I would feel like a fucking horrible person, and I would like shut down. I'd be like, I can't believe I did. I would have to tell the truth. Like, that's just who I am as a person. If I was like, yeah, I'm gonna lie about this and see how it goes, and then watch that person struggle, my empathy would kick in, and I'd be like, I can't let that be a thing.
That's called guilt.
Well, guilt and also empathy. I would feel how they feel.
I feel like, yes, but I feel like you have empathy because you're a good person, but I feel like the initial thing that's going to make you go, wait, that's messed up, is the guilt.
But I would feel their feelings more than I would feel guilt for what I did. The guilt's also there, but the guilt doesn't weigh on me more than physically looking at someone like, oh, they're generally hurting because of my actions. Like, their emotions are what make me, I guess, trigger the guilt or whatever it would be. But I see where you're coming from. Guilt's definitely there. But yeah, that definitely bothered me a lot. Well, tied into wrestling. Growing up as a wrestling fan, I know I talked a little bit about this on the wrestling episode, but like, growing up, wrestling wasn't cool. It was cool to the ones that it was cool with, and I enjoyed being around those people. And I definitely gravitated towards those people more, and I felt more at home and more welcome and more at peace with my friends who are also wrestling fans. But then also, like, I'd go up to somebody in school and be like, yo, man, did you see last night? And they'd be like, shut the fuck up. Don't talk about that here. And I'm like, why? And they're like, because I don't want to be fucking talking. And then that's when I realized, oh, while we're in school, you treat me as the weird kid. But when we're outside of school, then you're allowed to be my friend. Learning that at a young age fucking sucked. My best friend growing up, very loosely on this, who I thought was my best friend growing up, was only my friend when no one else was around. I'd be allowed to come to their house. If they had other people over their house, don't even think that you're coming over. Like, I was the friend who came over when nobody, like, if you had no one else to hang out with, then I was welcomed. If he had a birthday, I was never invited to birthday parties. I was never invited to, like, I would go with them to family fun, like family things, but like I wasn't, if they had their high school friends or their, because they were in like more of an, like a higher academic group, because our school grouped everybody by your grades and your attendance and whether you're probably going to be a productive member of society at that point in time. So all the smart, more popular, richy kids, nice dressed kids were like in tier A, and then it went from like tier A to B to C, and it just trickled down. From as early as I can remember, I was always into the bottom tier. I was the bottom tier kid, and I was stuck in with kids with probably disabilities that we didn't know. I was stuck in with kids who were just problematic, who just came to school and they were just not home, and they just came and they were the bullies, they were the social outliers, they were the outcasts, they were the ones that were probably, if a kid was going to be violent or get into a fist fight or you were going to be assaulted, I was with those kids. So that was always terrifying every day, where you're in fight or flight of like, is today the day I get punched in the face again? Like, how do you go to school and be productive and want to learn and get better when you're like, oh man, if I say something, I'm going to get punched or violent, or like violence is going to happen to me? That's not a great K through 12 experience. Yeah, that was cool. But going back to the wrestling, but I had, like, when I did have friends who were into it, like the biggest one for me was my friend Billy. When I was with Billy, that was like home. Like, we wrestled, we played. My cousin Jimmy was very the same way. Like, my best friends were kind of like my cousins, as well as my was with like Billy. And then I had a neighbor, but he was much older than me, so I didn't see him in school. But when we were like at home, like, I had a little alley I grew up in, and that was kind of the hangout spot. And then when I learned about the alley behind me, or the street behind me, that's when I met like my female gang, SSGI, and we were cool. But like, I would even say too, like, I don't think a lot of us that were in that like little group too, when we went to school, we didn't talk in school. We didn't sit at a lunch table together. We weren't like, I didn't hang out with the girls at school like they hung out with the girls. But when we came home, then we were friends. And that always kind of made me feel not like some type of way, but it was confusing. Like, well, I would go up and try to talk to ones that were closer to my age group, and they'd be like, fuck off. And I'm like, what? I'm like, we don't. And I just that never clicked to me until much later on. And then it also like probably gave a huge push away of why I stopped hanging out with a lot of those people. Like the kid that I deemed as my best friend when we hit like middle school, and I was like, and I kind of clicked like, oh, you genuinely don't like me. I'm just your friend when it's convenient. And I was like, all right, well, I'm just not coming here no more. And I stopped doing that. But yeah, pro wrestling was definitely the first thing that I think I really felt like I found my tribe, and it still to this day stands true. Wrestling at one point in time did get kind of cool in middle school, where you'd kind of like wear your wrestling t-shirts or your South Park t-shirts or your pop culture t-shirts, and that was like a identification of like, that's where I was able to fit in with more groups, and it still stands true to me today, and it's probably a huge reason why I have 1,000 t-shirt collection at one point in time, is because t-shirts to me were a gateway to find new friends. I thought if I had a cool t-shirt design or something that caught people's attention, it didn't matter if your shirt was name brand. It didn't matter if your shirt came from Old Navy, American Eagle, The Gap, all these fancy clothes, because I was picked on for wearing Walmart, JCPenney, Payless, Kmart. Like, that was where
Sears,
I got that. Sears was like, no, Sears was popular. Sears is where you can still get name brand stuff for us. Sears and Boss Cove was expensive.
I forget that you live in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And now as an adult, I'm like, I'll go to those places because they're cheap.
Yeah. Sears was bougie. Like, I didn't fucking shop at a Sears. I went Kmart, Layaway. You pick out a t-shirt and hope to God it still fits you in 6 months when your parents finish paying it off. Spoiler alert, it never fit. And then you wore clothes that were too small. T-shirts were huge for me, man. Like, that was big, and I still think psychologically is why I'm huge with it, and why I'm like, I can't get rid of that shirt. I'll never wear that Teenage Mutant Ninja shirt, but the day I do, I'll have a conversation with somebody. Like, that will make my day. When I'm out wearing a t-shirt and someone goes, yo, sick fucking shirt. Like, what an endorphin boost. I was like, I think, were you with me when we went to go to, no, you weren't with me when I went to Virginia. Went to go to Virginia and see my brother. And I was walking around and I was wearing my Luna Vachon shirt. And somebody was like, yo, sick Luna shirt. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to sit next to you for a couple minutes. And they're probably like, please don't. And then I was the weird kid again. But yeah, man. And I think that's a huge reason why I can't shake the wrestling thing. Because I feel like in all the things that I'm into with the wrestling and the video games and the pop culture and the horror, I just feel more at home talking to people about pop culture and that kind of stuff. And it's just like an easy gateway to meet people. It's also a great way to like find out where they lie. Cause like, especially in today's time where people are like, that's woke. I don't like when they make things woke. And I was like, cool, man. Remember when we used to watch the X-Men? That was the wokest fucking cartoon ever. You just like, and it also makes me kind of judge people like, oh, you missed the whole point. Like, you watched the show but didn't get the meaning. You know what I mean? Like, boy, oh boy. I feel like I rambled a lot to that section, but yeah. So section 2 was trying to fit in. I did one of 3 things. I either fit in, I blended in, or I just disappeared. But if I was accepted in any of those aspects, cool. Because once again, like, if I went to school, there's a chance I was probably getting picked on, beat up, or bullied. And if I didn't went through a day where I had to fist fight, that was a plus. Or if I didn't have to run home from school because I was told I was going to be waiting for you outside with my friends. I didn't have a group of friends. I didn't have a posse. I didn't have people around me that was going to back me up. And the ones that were going to back me up were also the same ones who also wanted to see a fight. So they would be the first ones to walk you straight into it because they wanted to watch it. And they're like, because we're little gladiators. But I definitely hit a lot of parts of myself. Like, the biggest one in middle school, once I started like diving more into music and getting into that, like, I loved punk. Like, everything about punk was right up my alley. And I wanted to be punk. I wanted to be emo. I wanted to be the rock star kid. I wanted to dress like that. But it was like, man, I'm already having a hard enough time. And the best way for me was to just blend in and not make a scene. So, like, I did that with my dress and my clothes and my personality and the way I wanted to present myself. Just don't bring attention to yourself. Be casual, fit in. And that sucked. Like, it wasn't until much later on in my life where I was like, oh, I can dress however I fucking want. I can wear whatever I want. I don't have to give a fuck what people think. Because even, like, clothing was just kind of like, just don't be too flashy. Don't be too dirty. Don't be too scummy. Just kind of just ride it out in the middle. Just be in that middle spot. Like I said, I talked about certain interest things I was into, or I would be less to bring them up because it was just easier to fit in or blend in at that point. Did I ever really pretend not to like things to fit in? Maybe a little bit, but not. That'd be too tough for me. My fucking brain would not allow me to be like, I don't like wrestling. I'd be like, nah, fuck it. I wouldn't be able to hide it. I'm trying to think, is there like a guilty pleasure I had? Music. There's certain music and movies that, like, I always laugh when we go to like pick a movie and Lily will be like, did you ever see this movie? And I was like, no. And they're like, why? I'm like, because if I fucking watched that and someone found out, like, we didn't watch those movies. Like, they were girl movies. And it sounds dumb to say as a 40-year-old man, but, like, I didn't watch a lot of pop culture because it wasn't the thing. Like, if someone's like, yo, Blackwell's fucking at home watching fucking, I'm trying to think of a show at that time.
Clueless.
The Babysitter's Club books. Like, I mean, like, I'm just... Okay,
I didn't even like those. Those were super boring. The actresses... god awful.
Yeah, but I just
not sorry.
Like, don't watch the Disney Channel. Like, I don't know, we were kind of forced to grow up quicker than we were supposed to. I think what the biggest thing is, like, that I was kind of forced into, and I still like it, and I'm still into it, and I still appreciate it, but I'm falling more and more out of love with it, is sports. I don't look at sports the same way as I used to. I think sports were thrown onto me because it was the cool thing to do and like, and it was the easiest way to fit in, and it was like, you're a dude, you're allowed to talk sports, and that was like the popular thing. So I just invested myself in sports, but I never ever really got like super in depth with sports. I did everything else. And even now watching sports, I generally still like watching sports, but I don't give a fuck what team's on. Like, I generally love the idea of the sport, but I'm not researching and memorizing every player's name and jerseys and where they're from. I'm not doing all that anymore. That's too fucking much. That's too much. I'm not you know how much dirt sheets I have to fucking stay away from, and wrestling and storylines, and I don't have time for real life when my fucking storylines are fucking taking over my life. All right. You know how many fucking real names I have to forget and remember their fake ones all day long, or their shoot, or their government. Like, I'm not, fuck sports. But that's something that and it didn't make me happy. Like, I generally, I guess, appreciated the times I grew up playing sports, but I look back at it now and I'm like, man, I feel like I wasted a lot of time playing sports when I could have been doing other. I wish I would have drawn more. I wish I would have done theater. I wish I would have learned an instrument. I wish I would have done other things than go out there and destroy my body playing sports, because I only really played them because it was the only thing that really made me fit in. And I wasn't athletic. I was not by all means an athletic kid. I was just a very determined kid. And I think my determination to fit in and to be decent enough to not get made fun of and be picked on made me a better athlete. It was 100% mind over skill. I don't think skill-wise I was the greatest player, but I think I was determined enough to practice and get better, because the better you were at sports, the more likely you were to fit in. And it wasn't like a true passion. It was more or less doing it because it was the cool thing to do. And I think that's the first time I've ever physically said that through my mouth, which is interesting, but it's the truth.
Yeah, it's the first time I've ever heard you say that. I'm like, this is all new.
Yeah, but it's true. It's generally how I feel. I'm trying to think of like other pop culture things. I'm trying to go through the list. I definitely didn't have a beer culture at this time. Horror was, I loved horror, but it's definitely not something I talked about. That, I think horror probably made me feel weirder than anything else. Because if I went to school and told someone, like, I just watched the fucking Evil Dead, like, most kids weren't allowed to watch stuff like I was allowed to watch growing up. Like, you didn't watch Chuck. I didn't go to school and talk about Chucky or Friday the 13th or fucking Nightmare on Elm Street or all these weird things. It wasn't until later on, like, when we were in like later on in school, and like I had a friend who owned a video store. His family owned a video store, so we'd go and pick out a movie. And when you had a sleepover, horror movies were the movies. That's what you picked. But when I go to the sleepover and everyone's like, "Oh my god, I'm so scared," I'm just like, I genuinely don't watch this movie. And I wasn't scared. I was just enjoying it because it was a horror movie. And I think my experience was different than everybody else. And also probably they thought I was a little weirder because I wasn't reacting the same way to horror movies as they were. Once again, I'm watching the movie and seeing the picture and not getting caught up in the other elements of it. But horror is another one. I think horror is that dark aesthetic, alternative culture leaned to my heartstrings and played into it. It showed me aspects of the world and personalities and adult content that I was picking up on before a lot of other people were. And it appealed to me because it was like, I definitely seen the artistic aspect to horror, where it's like, oh, there's a whole subculture of human beings that I'm learning about through horror and through adult movies that I wasn't getting from Disney movies. Like, Disney was kind of like, if you dream it, you can be whatever you want to be and sing and everything's happy. And horror's like, no, people will kill you out here. And I'm just like, yeah, I relate to that. I go to school and I think any day I can get punched and killed by somebody. I also have to remember too, I'm in middle school, Columbine happens. So now the whole element of, I don't have to worry about the jocks beating me up. Actually, this sounds fucked up, and I feel really weird saying this out loud. But Columbine, for me, in middle school, lightened things up a little bit for me. Because if you were the weird kid or the outsider, there was a good grace period where they're like, yo, don't fuck with those kids, because what if they come and do that here? And I'm not condoning anything that happens, and I'm not condoning people going into schools and doing that. But there was a window as an outsider where I was like, I was left alone for a little bit because it kind of woke people up of like, maybe we shouldn't go so hard on these fucking kids because we're bored. And the only other thing we could do with being bored is just finding another group of people and torturing them in school. And I do remember, like, I didn't get in full trouble, but I remember I got talked to by a teacher because I was just like, I looked at a kid, I go, like, we were talking about it, and I was like, this is why kids fucking do this, because you fucking mentally torture us to the point where, like, I wish I could fucking fight you back, but the second I want to, you're gonna have 90 of your fucking friends there, and I'm not physically strong enough to beat, because most of the time, and it's weird how this works, is your bullies in school are always the more overdeveloped kids. Like, they hit puberty quicker, they're bigger, they're stronger, they're taller, they're stronger, you know what I mean? Like, and like,
they have testosterone rushing through their body.
Yeah, and I was kind of the kid that was like the late bloomer who like felt like I had no strength, and I mean, I can kick, but nobody wants to be the fucking kid who kicks really strong in school, you know what I mean? Like, you kick in a fight, you're a girl. I kicked a lot because I had strong legs. I'm using what I got, you know? But yeah, so that took a dark turn, but that's horror and dark aesthetics, and that stuff kind of was weird, and that but yeah, being misunderstood, the core idea of it, people often make assumptions. Yeah, people assume a lot of things about you, and they'll use those assumptions about what you're into or what you look like or what you dress to kind of put you into a category, and it can make things difficult. But I will say, if anyone's in that right now, just like it doesn't really fucking matter. It doesn't. Like, I look back at all of it now, and it's so insignificant, and like it's there, and it may seem like I dwell on it, but I'm just generally like going back and talking, but I don't let it really play a lot of into my mind. I see kids in school, or I see kids out in public that were like people who we didn't get along, or they picked on me, or didn't make me feel a certain type of way, and I see them now as adults, and I'm just like, what's up, man? Cool. Glad you're doing well. I just keep it moving. Like, I don't hold grudges or anything. Like, we were kids. We didn't know what the fuck we were doing. Just like, so I'm not going to hold it against them if they made me feel some type of way when I was younger than now that we're adults. I think there was one kid I generally had a conversation with, or two, that I was like, man, you made me feel fucked up growing up. And then I learned a lot about them, of how their life was and how their parents were. And it made a lot of sense why they were bullies, because they were also looking for attention and getting it in different ways than they probably wanted to as well. But paranormal, I'm trying to think paranormal wise, I think that was where I fit in really good with the girls. Shockingly, like, when the paranormal stuff kicked in and we found a Ouija board, and we'd go up to cemeteries and we'd walk in the woods and look for spooky things and talk ghost stories, I was definitely into that. And I think that was more of like I definitely bonded over that more with my feminine friends and female friends than I ever did my guy friends. Like, there was a handful of guy friends who, like, were into ghosts and stuff like that, but like, as a dude too, you never wanted to show you were afraid or scared. So that was kind of like, guys would be afraid of it, but they didn't want to explore that or make that a visible outward thing because they were hiding that. But girls were more accepting to showing that you can be afraid and scared and you want to explore and understand things. So I had a really good balance, and I'm grateful for it, that I had a balance of female friends and male friends. And I think that's probably what made me so well-rounded as a person growing up, is because I did have a lot of female friends. Like I think basing myself and not being in a friend group where it was mostly dominant masculine, and then when I was outside of school, I'd go up and hang out with 7 girls who would show me more of a feminine side. Like, I wasn't like putting makeup and dresses and shit on, but like, it also didn't bother me if people were more feminine. I was like, oh, that's just natural to me. So I think that's a good thing that people should have, is kind of having that balance between things, and honestly learning about other people's interests, like pop culture wise. My girlfriends weren't talking about the same, and I say girlfriends, I don't mean like we were actually boyfriend girlfriend, but like my friends who were girls would talk about more things in pop culture stuff that was more interested in them. Like, I couldn't go up and talk to them about fucking wrestling. Are you crazy? Go talk to my fucking female friends about my wrestling stuff or my pop culture or my nerdy. No, they wanted to hear about horrors, because like, I feel like younger girls are more adept into like being scared and like the paranormal and stuff and being girly. I think that's more at least from my
I
experience.
have no idea where you're getting the girly part of this. Are we talking about like making potions and
No,
and being
just like in general, like the metaphysical. I that was just generally from my experience. A lot of my like the boys that I grew up with, they were not diving into that stuff. They weren't talking about it. They didn't want to show the emotion of being scared or being seen vulnerable or weak. Of like, oh, if that was the girls were more willing to do that.
Maybe things just really are different in Texas because I feel like it's the opposite. Like girls are like, I don't want to be screaming in front of anyone. I don't want people to see me scream or like whatever or like
Really?
Yeah, like I feel like dudes were more into horror and there was something else you said before and I'm like, where are you getting this from?
Yeah. Finding my people. Eventually stop trying to fit in to the wrong rooms and just and find them in better ways. And I was very good at navigating that. Like I had friends that like, not friends, but like people in school, like, oh shit, the new Blink dropped. And there would be a girl named Harmony. I'm not going to put her full name out there. But me and Harmony never spoke. Never spoke. Like we never hung out. We never did anything. But I was like, I know Harmony fucking can quote every Blink 182 song, and she never addressed like she was a Blink fan. She never wore Blink t-shirts, but she was a diehard Blink fan. And when a new song or an album would drop, she's the first person I would go to, like, yo, what do you think of the new album? She'd be like, I fucking so sick, aliens exist. And I'd be like, yeah. And then like we'd have that conversation and we'd just disappear into the night. You know what I mean? So I had like a lot of those things too, where they weren't like everyday people, but they were the people that I definitely like had those one or two stops where like, all right, I know they're into this, so like my mental ADHD brain's like bing 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 bing, I can talk to this with this person, and that's kind of how I was like a ping pong ball through school, and I kind of bounced around like that. Growing up, it never really changed. Like even in the wrestling world, I definitely lean more into like my interest in my pop culture and stuff to meet people and get an idea of people and find common interests. Because like when you're in the world of wrestling, I mean everyone's interested in wrestling. We're all there for wrestling. But then you're like, oh, fuck, I hate these people. I hate this person. I don't want to say these people. Like I hate this person. This person's so fucking annoying. Like I need to find something redeemable about them because I have to be with them every single fucking month, maybe 3 or 4 times a month, and they're always in my face and they're fucking. We have nothing in common, so I have to find something in common. I have to find a barrier that when we have to sit and talk, it's something we're both interested in, and it makes the experience more tolerable. And so, like, pop culture is another great way of doing that. I don't want to hate the person or dislike the person, but it's just like, all right, we're going to keep our conversation right here. Because if I talk to you about anything on real world stuff, I'm going to see how superficial you are or how uninformed you are or how... I think there's a lot of, like, bigotry or hatred, or I don't think a lot of people are those things. I just generally think they don't culture themselves enough to learn, and they just listen to their echo chambers, and that's to me, that's fucking hard. I have struggled with that. Becoming different made me a strength. I think if you went through life and everything was just fucking easy and you didn't experience the adversities, or you didn't experience every single day possibly being a fight, or if you were going to live or die, it sounds dramatic, but that's where my brain went a lot of times, because it's like, what if they fucking hit me and I fall and hit my head? And like, that's all possible. You know what I mean? When you get taken out of school to go get stitches in your body on a few occasions, or you've gotten punched in the face, it changes your outlook, and then you either have to learn or fight or die type situations, or run. But I definitely, it made me a stronger person. It made me like, all right, I've been punched in the face. You're not going to disrespect me. I don't want to be in a fight, but I've been in enough of them that I'm not afraid. I'm not going to let you disrespect me, and I will stand up for myself. That helps me a lot in life. Understanding and leaning into pop culture, understanding my wokeness, and understanding that there's another world inside the world, and like understanding people and stuff like that. Pop culture has leaned heavily into that for me and helping me become different and stuff like that. And then just kind of leaning into, like, I don't know, I want to ask myself some questions here a little bit in a way, but like, I want to ask you, I want an outside perspective about me. So I'm going to ask you questions about me, and I want to know how off base, or maybe I completely have a different opinion about myself. Is that cool? Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah, so like, what do you think makes me different?
Dan.
Huh?
Like, in what way?
Like from the average person you meet, what do you, if like general humans or people you've came, you can compare me to friends, ex-boyfriends, however you want to do it. What do you think makes me different than other people? Like, do my differences, are my
You
differences...
just connect with everyone. That's I think really, like, I'm sorry that's probably super vague, but like you can literally talk to anyone and have a full conversation with anyone for 4 hours straight and not even realize you're doing it.
That's 100% a defense mechanism that I learned from growing up. Like, just fitting in with, like, I could generally find those common interests with someone, and if I can, if we're talking, I'm not getting made fun of or picked on or judged, if that makes sense. Is there anything that you would think, like, makes me weird or different or, like, stand out from anyone else? Or do you think I blend in very well?
I would say there's too many emo people now in the world. I feel like I could see where maybe you did, where we live. I don't know how the hell you grew up here. I couldn't do it. But at the same time, I basically did. It was just a different state. It was just, it was Texas, but like location. But it's just, I think that nowadays there are so many more people, or maybe it's just that people are more accepting of who people are. I feel like you have to be so off the wall to really stand out. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that you just blend in, because you don't. But
you're not offending me. You answer.
No,
like, I'm just trying.
But I do feel as though for a lot of just listening to your story, I'm like, oh yeah, I can relate to every aspect of your life in some way, shape, or form of another. I won't get into that though, but I think that we have a lot of, like, you were talking about liking sports, and although you were saying it, and it was the first time I was hearing you say it, I was like, wow, that feels like me with football. Like, I loved football, college football, and then right after I got out of high school, and actually after I got out of basic training, I was like, yeah, I liked the Denver Broncos for my whole life, and I liked the Texas Longhorns, and now I don't. The last game that I remember watching was Vince Young in the Rose Bowl. I don't remember.
It's not true. You watched Notre Dame beat Texas in a...
Yeah, you're right. I have watched, but I mean, like, no. I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. Since I've known the players, have like been invested in it, and I do feel like I did that because football's fucking huge in Texas, and if you don't know football, you can't hang.
I want to definitely go to more local sporting events.
Well, you know what?
They're fun to go to.
We have a high schooler now.
No, I don't want to do high school sports.
Well, too bad, because guess what? She's in the band, so we're going to go to the freaking football games every dang week that they're home, that it's a home game, because I don't know how.
So we're going to Hazelton high school football games?
Whoop, whoop.
Actually, I'm kind of excited about that, because Hazelton's a much bigger school. I've watched school county high school football. It's fucking awful. It's like there's like 13 kids total on the team.
I feel like I was at one football game. No, I was at a few. James' brother Tyler was on the football team.
I do love high school band though. High school band is fun.
Yeah, and I was in high school band for the first 2 years, but I think that, like, at any rate, back to your original question of like how do you stand out and everything like that, I was just relating to it a lot, and I feel like even the people that we hang out with, like, we're all kind of outcasts in some way, shape, or form. And I think that we've all grown up with that and then just been like, well, we're not going to be like those fucking people. And maybe it is a little punk and maybe it's empathetic or whatever it is. But I think that even though we're still, to this day, in many ways, the outcast or the friend that gets picked last for certain things, hobbies, events, whatever, or it's like an afterthought and it was like, oh shit, sorry I didn't invite you to that. I think that even though all of those things could be true, I think that we stand out within our own community. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
I think a big thing for me too, and I think when we first started dating, I was very excited to be like, man, I can't wait to meet my people. Like because I'm very proud of the friends I've acquired and of people I've come into contact with. Like, they mean a lot to me because it's not easy to find your tribe and to find your people. And I just remember, like, just to throw a few names out there, just like, I can't wait till you meet Chuck. I can't wait till you meet Amber. I can't wait till you meet Eddie. I can't wait till you meet Billy. I have so many, like, eccentric, cool fucking people.
I met Billy like 2 weeks into us dating, but I did not physically meet Billy until like 2 years into us dating.
Yeah, but like, I think, I also love how, like, Pilguru is a great example. Pilguru is a place where you're like, oh, if I go there, I know at least 3 or 4 of my friends are going to be there. We're going to vibe, we're going to chill, we're going to catch up. Or we can just sit in fucking silence and be happy we're in the room with each other. And somebody new could walk in the door. And I'll just, like, I'm not going to use her name, but, like, they would come to vinyl nights. And they only really cared about the vinyl. And I would just, like,
that's my dude.
We're bringing him in. You know what I mean? And I find a way to do that. I'm not saying me personally, but, like, I always try to, like, hey, I think you'd fit into this. I think you'd fit into this tribe, and I think, like, you and you would be really good friends. And I try to, like, connect people a lot too. Yeah, I don't know.
How do you think you stand out?
I think in those aspects, I think I stopped trying to fit into other people's circle, and I feel like I've made my own circle. And because I think there's a lot of people who are in my circle that are in the circle now, and they're friends because I've introduced a lot of them together. Like, hey man, I think you would get along with these people. Or I think this spot will be a cool spot for you to hang out and meet new people. And I'm not ever going to take credit for any of that shit, but, like, I help bridge a lot of gaps for some people, you know? But, like, I don't know. I think, like, when I walk into a room, I don't look at the room and play the Breakfast Club where I'm like, oh shit, how do I fit in with these people? I'm like, no, how are they going to fit in with, not to sound egotistical, but, like, I'm selective. I think it, like, I'm cool and friendly and cordial with everybody, but I think when, like, for, like, wrestling as an example, there's some people that I walk up and I'm like, hey man, great to fucking see you. And then there's people I go up and I give the big hug to, or I give them the kiss. You know what I mean? And that may sound weird, but, like, there's people in this industry, man or woman, they get the kiss in the cheek or the forehead kiss or the head kiss. Like Bedlam. Bedlam's the kiss guy. I give Bedlam the kiss. You know what I mean? Like, I give Draven the kiss. Like, there's, like, it's not weird or uncomfortable. It's just, like, I've built that friendship with that. Like Alex gets a hug and a kiss. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think it's a very healthy place to be as a man, where you can, we're not kissing on the lips, but, like, I can kiss another man.
It's okay if you do.
I wouldn't be opposed. I think it'd be funny. I'm gonna start doing that. I'm gonna go.
Oh my god! Not. I think it would be funny.
I think it would be funny.
I think it's because I feel like Hispanic men they don't usually do it to other men, but like whenever it's their family, they do, and they don't make it weird. Like,
yeah. That's Italians are the same way. Italians are kissers. I'm gonna bring it back. I'm gonna
not like the no tongue. I ain't saying tongue. I'm
bringing the kiss back. So heads up, people. I'm kissing you. Give me a hug and a kiss. We don't have to kiss on the lips, but we're kissing. Things I would tell younger Anthony, if I could sit down with myself, a younger version, what would I tell him? I would just be like, man, just fucking stick it through. Like, I don't think I would go back and change anything I went through. I generally don't. The good, the bad, the ugly, I would say experience all of it, because I generally think it makes you who you are. I would say embrace it and love it and cherish it and be happy for it, because the hard times make, like, no pressure, no diamonds. You don't become the diamond you are today without going through some shit and without going through some pressure and some heat and some uncomfortability. Just stay the course. I know it's gonna suck, and it's funny. It's another thing too is just, like, people are like the seasons, and there's nothing wrong with that. Some people are gonna be in your life hardcore for 6 months, and then you're never gonna see them again for 4 years. But you have the ability to just pick up right where you left off and just be and still do. And there's nothing wrong with that kind of friendship, you know. Don't worry about your insecurities. Lean into them. Be you. The only thing I wish I would have done more is maybe lean more into who I wanted to be. I didn't dress the way I wanted to dress because I didn't really have the budget or the funds to do so, and I wasn't creative enough. And if I would have cut up my clothes or did things to make them more, my parents would have been like, "Bro, we're too fucking poor for you to destroy your shit."
I can't tell you how many times I got my butt beat for doing it, but I would do it anyway.
And I generally think, like, if I showed my younger self, fuck, I gotta collect myself before I say this. I think if my younger self, I mean, I'm not living luxury, or I'm not living fucking with money, or I'm almost 40, I don't have a 401k. Like, I'm fucked as an adult for the future. But, like, the younger me would be like, man, you did what? You got to meet who? You do what? Like, I'm not doing it on a big scale, but it would fucking definitely scratch an itch for my younger self, and I think that's cool. You know, I would tell myself to get more into the creative aspect sooner and not wait, and become more of a person who is not afraid to put themselves in the spotlight instead of sitting back and helping other people hit their spotlights. Because for a very long time, like, my nickname was hype. That was my first nickname I really got. I was hype because I was like a hype man. I would go out and be like, yo, go check them out. They're the fucking best. Like, here's their social medias. Here's how to go follow them. Here's how to, like, I would help promoted other people's art. Like, when I would go with my friends and they had their R&B group, I was the guy who was like, yo, here's their next event. Here's what they're doing. Here's how you go support them. Here's their t-shirt. Like, I was pushing hey man, my buddies in this band, the boys upstairs, go support them. Like, I was always actively using my energy to promote other people. And I was like, I can still do this, but make it me. And I think for the first couple of years of my podcast, it was like, all right, I'm interviewing people and stuff, but I wasn't doing this. I wasn't doing my own, like, talking. And I wish I would have dove into this a little more. And then I guess just kind of looking back on the current outlook, I don't feel like an outsider. Actually, I do. I definitely still feel like an outsider, but I'm proud to be an outsider. Because I think what makes me an outsider today is I definitely think, especially in the world of wrestling, I've heard it where, like, hey, like, if you're going to be in our locker room, we're going to crack jokes and say things, just, like, be cool with it. And I was like, depends on what you're cracking jokes about and the tone of how you crack them. But the fact that they know that, like, I'm not going to actively be around someone who's openly racist, homophobic, transphobic, that's an outsider today. It sounds fucking stupid. I shouldn't be considered an outsider because I accept people for who they are, but that's just the world we live in. And I will be that outsider all fucking day long. I will stand up for people. I will not let someone go through something that I don't think they should go through. I don't think my perspective has changed. I think I'm just strong enough to stand up for what I believe in than I was when I was younger. And the advantages of that is I think it makes my circle where I need it to be. I think instead of me trying to fit in and fight for other circles for me to get into, I think people are actively trying to enter my circles. But they don't have to try very hard. Like, come in. But hey, the second you fuck up, you got to get the fuck out of my circle. You know what I mean? Like, I can't deal with you. Like, I think the biggest thing that I want to change is I get caught up in the shit talking and, like, oh my God. Like, but I'm very blunt and honest, and I'm never going to say something about something or a situation that I wouldn't say to that person's face, and that's 100% factual. But, like, I'm very more cautious about how much I dive into the shit talking or how much I dive into, like, just negative speak in general. Like, when you meet people, you're like, yo, what the fuck is this idiot doing again? And, like, we all have that friend where you're, I don't know, at least for me, like, you, especially in the world of wrestling, you're like, yo, did you hear about this fucking place? Did you hear about what they're doing again? And it's like a 15-minute conversation about the fucking terrible shit that's happening in those places or those people. And I don't want to do that no more. Like, I just gonna be like, hey man, let's just focus on today's event. You know what I mean? Like, I want to get away from that more. And if people are in their past, keep them there. There's no reason to keep talking about, hey, this person did you dirty and this person got to you, because they're still getting to you if you're still willing to talk about it. I want to move past all that. I don't want to be the guy who's like, if you're comfortable talking to me about something negative or you're comfortable talking to me about the past, I just want to kind of, I'll talk to you about the past as long as it's good. I want to kind of not really give more energy to negative things anymore. But I want to know from you in the audience, how are you the weird kid? Did pop culture help you, or were you the horror kid, the wrestling kid, the creative person, the outsider? Tell me. Let me know in the comments. If you're listening to this on audio platforms and you made it this far, give a 5-star review. Leave a comment if you're on the Spotify aspect. If you're on YouTube, leave a comment. Help me out. Like, share, subscribe, all that fun things. And Lily, anything you want to add before we get out of here?
I got nothing. Everyone be safe.
Huh?
Stay safe. I don't know.
Fix your hearts or die. I love that.
There you go.
Actually, I'm literally 2 minutes away from going live on AEW. I lost track of time. But make sure you go check out the Discord, merch pages, podcast stuff, and we will see you guys next time. The older I get, the more I realize I was never supposed to fit in, and you weren't either. You are all beautifully damaged. Join the cult of ABJ. We'll see you guys next time. We're out of here.